You're not in control. In addition to mindset and perception, how you view control will largely determine whether you overcome your obstacle. The illusion that we are in control is essentially responsible for several of the challenges we discover ourselves facing, but the obstacle is illusionary. First and foremost, we've to acknowledge that we aren't as in the maximum amount control as we might like. As humans, we naturally want control over our entire lives. Despite the strong urge to be on top of things, we are only on top of things of little or no. By trying to regulate things that are entirely out of our realm of control, many obstacles feel overwhelming and daunting. That's because viewing ourselves as on top of things creates countless made-up obstacles that we've no way of overcoming. It's essential to find out this lesson if you're to overcome obstacles. Knowing when to abandoning because of this control issue, many folks hold on to obstacles that we've no business holding on to. These are going to be obstacles that we've no chance of overcoming. Whenever we attempt to overcome obstacles that we will not beat, we get overwhelmed and blame ourselves. Presumably, your inability to beat an obstacle has nothing to try to do with you but the facts of the matter. With this in mind, it's important to recollect that you simply shouldn't get trapped on things that aren't in your control. That specialize in things outside of your control waste some time and energy, and it's going to hurt your self-esteem. Only specialize in matters that you simply have a minimum of partial control in. Whenever you discover yourself facing an obstacle that you simply aren't sure if you should control, you would possibly want to wage it. If you can't control the obstacle outcome in any way, abandoning of it. Knowing whether or not you should abandoning are often difficult, but there are two things to consider: the facts, your emotions, the facts of the obstacle, and your emotions will determine whether or not you're on top of things of the result and if you ought to abandoning of it. The facts of the obstacle include anything that's a requirement for the obstacle to be overcome. For example, say your obstacle is that you simply are fired and wish money. The facts would come with how long you'll go without an income, the amount of individuals counting on you, and anything which will be objectively determined. In addition to the facts, you would like to think about your emotions. Your emotions will largely determine if the obstacle is worthwhile to you. Sometimes, the obstacle is in your control, and therefore the facts allow you to beat it. Nevertheless, your emotions may tell you that the obstacle isn't worthwhile. Let's check out an example. Assume that your partner gets a replacement job and must move across the country. The obstacle ahead of you is whether or not you ought to move or be during a future relationship. Both of those options are doable, but your emotions may tell you that you simply don't want to maneuver and you cannot tolerate a long-distance relationship. In that case, your emotions tell you that this obstacle isn't worthwhile, which you should potentially hack. By watching the facts and your emotions, you ought to be ready to determine if an obstacle is worthwhile. If the obstacle isn't, provide it up and advance with your life. Though this might take tons of strength and resilience, it'll make your life much easier. How to abandoning of control. In order to maneuver on, you've got to acknowledge and abandoning of control. For many people, this will be tough. Here are some helpful action steps to assist you abandoning of control and obtain back to living a life you enjoy. Focus on what you'll control. The first step to letting go of control is to specialize in what you'll control and recognize what you cannot. What you'll control only relates to you, and therefore the list is extremely small. Your appearance, mindfulness, aspects of your health, and productivity are samples of things that are within your control. Any situation that involves another person isn't entirely in your control. You'll control how you answer the opposite person, but you can't control how they act or things. Notice your reaction pattern. Your reaction pattern is how you react to a different person or situation. Most of the time, our emotions cause our reactions. This is not necessarily bad, but it can mean that you simply react poorly, which hurts your ability to beat the obstacle. Notice your reaction pattern to vary the result. Your reaction pattern will include the trigger, stress reaction, negative thought, negative feeling, reactive behavior, and therefore the consequence. Take a second to reflect on this reaction pattern in order that you recognize how you react. If you think that your reaction is poor and resulting in bad consequences, you would like to interrupt the pattern. This involves noticing the trigger, breathing, and being compassionate to yourself et al. During the method. Additionally, turn your negative thought into a more realistic one.